All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of DCCASEMODS. I'm your host, David Wright, aka Bishop Down, and we are bringing to you guys another wonderful video. And we're going to be talking about how to clone a hard drive. I know a lot of people, when you're redoing your computer or you have your thing crashes or you're upgrading, is you don't want to have to reinstall your operating system again because it's such a pain in the ass, especially if you have a lot of programs, a lot of files on there, and it's just a pain in the butt just to go back and upload all those things. And sometimes you lose your key codes and you have to, buy a new key code, and it's a headache, right? So these wonderful smart people developed a process to clone your hard drive. So I remember back when I first started doing this, probably back in like around 2004, 2005, they used to have a program for cloning that I was familiar with. It was called Norton Ghost. And basically the ghosting program was basically you ghosted your hard drive, which is basically you just copied it. So you're able to migrate it to another hard drive or whatnot. So pretty much the ideal is still the same, and some of the same techniques are used in the programming. But now, 10 years, 15 years later, it's become more convenient for you to do it. So basically, they do have programs that you can use to pretty much download your copied hard drive into a cloud system, so you don't have to keep a backup of it. Windows kind of does like something like that as well. They do a restore point, but with the restore point, you don't get to keep all your programs. You lose all your programs, but all your files will stay the same. Now there's some other programs out there that you can use, some open source programs that you can use to clone your drives and stuff like that, but I recommend purchasing one, so you would have a better, you got something that you can count on because you purchase it, and you know that it's legit because you bought it from a reputable company and stuff like that. Now I don't really know a lot of the names of them, so what we're going to do, we're going to get on the web and just see, but then I'm going to tell you, compare you to the one that I use. So let's do that. I want you to see what I see. Pardon me as I move the camera around there. I'm watching Mike Tyson's hot box thing on here, so I'm going to actually take that down. So let me move this over here. I'll come back to that Mike Tyson hot box. He's got Roseanne Barr on here. You know what I mean? That's awesome. She's pretty cool. I think they're all crazy to me, but they're crazy cool. All right, so let's zoom in on that real quick so you can see that with me. Alright, so let me go ahead. So we're just going to do a Google search for cloning software, okay? Okay, cloning software, right? And now some of these cloning softwares will be specifically for Mac, some of them will be for both, some of them will be specifically for Windows, right? So as we look it up here, we have a Acronis True image, we got Clonezilla, which I think is an open source. I think Clonezilla is open source. I never heard of this before. Macrium, Ghost Priority. There's that word, Ghost again. You remember I was just talking about Ghost. Part Image, which may be another. It says GNC General, so it could be another free source, right? So let's look at best disk clone software for 2018. This is from TechRadar. So they're saying software to make copying your hard drives a breeze. They say the best ones are Clonezilla, Acronis Disk Director 12, which is actually, that's the one that we use, and or that I use, and actually I'm going to show you, how to use that one. Easy US Total Backup, Macro Reflect, Paragon Drive. Okay, so that's what they're saying is the best one. Now, Clonezilla. That Clonezilla is a free open source. The free disk template from Clonezilla is free, is open source, so you don't have to pay for it. And stuff, like that. And then they talk about Acronis. Acronis you have to pay for, but Cronus is a Windows only cloning, so Cronus will only do Windows, so you couldn't use it for, say, I've tried to use it to clone like PlayStation hard drives before, or Xbox hard drives, but I never got it to work. So probably you have to use a different one to do like Xbox or PlayStation or Cronus, because if you wanted to, just say you had an Xbox and you wanted to, because back then when we were doing it, maybe like 2014, 15, we wanted to take the 500 gig hard drives and put like a 1 terabyte solid state drive into an Xbox. So I was trying to use a Cronus, but I couldn't. I could actually clone it, but it wasn't functional, or never cloned it completely, I think, because the Cronus is only for Windows. Anyway, maybe Clonezilla might work for that, but it's still possible to do. There's, of course you can do it. East US Total Backup, I've heard of that before. So this one has a wide range of cloning activity. I've never used it before. $30 to get it, looks like it. And then Macrium Reflex 7. Okay, so blah 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 blah. And then Paragon Drive Copy. Maybe I've used Paragon before. I'm not sure. It might have been. No, this one says about $40. But anyway, so let me go back and we'll just look at this and okay, we'll see what. Well, that's actually kind of biased. You can't say that. Okay, here's Tech Advisor. UK. They say what's the best cloning software. They got Paragon up there, and they got a Cronus second. What else are they saying here? Paragon is well known for all related hard drive. What the crap is this? It's got a lot of stuff coming up on here. I don't like that. Anyway, better get off this page pretty fast. Macrium, they got on here, erase tool. So anyway, you can just kind of just look that up and find out what's the best one for you and for your specific purpose and what you're trying to clone. I didn't see anything here from Mac, so just for those Mac users who are watching this, let me just look cloning software for Mac. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so they got Stellar Drive Clone for Mac, Carbon Copy Cloner for Mac, ChronoSync, Super Duper Ease. So there's some other things for Macs that you can use, but you can just Google this stuff right here. Let's see, cloning software for PlayStation 4. Let's see if we, oops, I typed today. Okay, cloning software for PlayStation 4. This is kind of get deep for, because they probably won't advertise cloning software for PlayStation 4. Maybe for an Xbox, because of course they don't want you to upgrade your stuff anyway. They're just asking questions about this. I just did this just to kind of look at how to upgrade. So if you want to do PlayStation 4, just search for that and look for it. And then we're going to do for Xbox One as well. Xbox One. So they're saying East Us or the East one, but there's just some other stuff on there. So you can do it. I mean, because cloning, like I said, it's old. It's old, but with the software, with the software updates over the years and the people being able to figure out things, you can definitely easily clone any hard drive to work on any system. You just got to be specific about what you're using. So I'm gonna exit out of this, close this Roseanne. So so basically, let's get into it and show you guys exactly how you would do it if you were gonna use a Cronus. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my Cronus here, and I have the latest version of a Cronus, which is 2019. So there's my Cronus True image right here. So I'm just gonna double click on that. So once you get your Cronus, a Cronus is cool. Not too expensive. You can actually have you can actually use it. They can give you multiple licenses, so you can have for different computers and stuff like that. I have a multiple license because I was using it when we were doing a lot of building computers and stuff like that, and repairing people's computers. We would just clone the drives and migrate them over to a new system and stuff like that. So, but you have to buy the full copy of Acronis to be able to use the cloning process. So with Acronis, it gives you you can back up everything, system cleanup, some other stuff that I'd never use. But basically, what I like about it was the clone. So when you get ready to do your Acronis, or to do your clone, you're going to be using Acronis. You're gonna click on the clone disk. So you click on clone disk, and it'll initialize it, and it has this. I want you guys to be able to see this. Let me get in here real quick. A little closer. There we go. Now you can see that very well. I can see it. You can see it, right? Okay. Let me back up a little bit. Okay. So basically, it's telling you to choose your clone mode. You got an automatic mode and then a manual mode. Manual mode would be if you're just gonna say you wanted to manually clone some of the drive, not all of the drive. You can do that, and you would break it down, and it would break it down in partitions. I'm not partitions. It would break it down in partitions and parameters. And this is what it says. Manual mode will give you full control over the hard disk cloning procedure. You'll be able to adjust the size of the target, partitions, change the parameters, and much more. So you can basically clone whatever you want to clone off the hard drive. And this is what I was trying to do with the Xbox, which you may be able to do. I haven't tried it anyway. So automatic mode is just, it says all your partitions from the source disk will be copied to the target disk in a few simple steps, and your new hard drive will be made bootable. Your existing parameters will be automatically resized to fit the target hard drive. So what they're basically saying is, and this is just a rule when you're cloning a hard drive, you can only clone a hard drive equal or greater than the original or source hard drive. So that's just saying if you have a 250 gigabyte hard drive, you can only clone that drive on another 250 gig hard drive or higher. You wouldn't be able to clone it on a lower drive, on a lower capacity drive, unless you were only transferring certain files. So, but that's the rule of thumb in your cloning. You want to make sure you have a larger drive or the same size drive. So basically, I always pick automatic because I'm not doing anything crazy. So you click next, right? So you click next, and it'll show you your drives that you have to choose from, a source drive. So it has this one. So I got 2 discs on here. This is my main hard drive right here, the NVMe Samsung 970. That's my 1 terabyte, and then I got a 4 terabyte Western Digital, which is just a storage hard drive. So these are the drives that I can choose to clone from. This would be my source drive. Now, important thing to remember, I don't know about other software, but when using Acronis, the source drive and the destination drive, they have to both be inside your computer. Like you couldn't use a USB or external hard drive to clone off of or to clone on. So your source and your destination drive have to be connected onto the motherboard, directly onto the board through the SATA ports. Or of course a PCIe Express, or M.2, or U.2 drive, whatever the case is. It has to be on the motherboard itself. Otherwise, you will not be able to clone it. It won't work. So keep that in mind too. So basically, once you pick a source drive, so we pick this drive and you click next, and then it's gonna do its thing or whatever. Access it or whatever. So then it's gonna say what drive do you want your hard drive to be cloned on. So of course you would have your drive that you want to be cloned on here, and you would go ahead and click it and click next, and then it will go through the process of cloning it. Now the process usually doesn't take too long, just depends on how much information or data you have on your hard drive. Of course, the more data, the longer it will take, but it usually doesn't take too long. Maybe I would average between 1 to 4 hours to clone your drive, and it depends on the speed of your computer and stuff like that. But usually between 1 to 4 hours. But like I said, it's got to be, that hard drive has to be inside your computer, because whatever computer you're cloning on, it will, sometimes it may shut down and restart a few times. Usually I've only seen it shut down once or twice, and sometimes I've had to go back and restart the cloning process for some reason. I'm not sure. So just be careful, you know, whatever system you're cloning, you know, you're not that system. You're not going to be able to use it for a minute. But what I do sometimes, you know, I would I'll show you our PC here. Ooh, look at that. So what I would do sometimes is you know, if I got somebody's, I used to have a computer that I would use just for cloning. So I would have basically that computer would just open pretty much. Everything's open. There's no panel, and I just have it running, you know, to a monitor, and I have my Cronus software on that computer, and I would just hook up whatever hard drives I was going to clone in there, you know, blah 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 blah. So that's the way I do it. That's the way I would do it. But also another note too. Just say that you're going to be cloning. Say you got a laptop and it's got a solid state drive in there, but it's a PCIe or M.2 drive. You can still clone those drives. It doesn't matter even if it's a M.2. The smaller ones. What are the smaller ones called? I forgot what they're called. Here, let me show you something. Oh, pardon me. I forgot what they were called. I think it's all M.2. It is M.2 actually. Okay. You got M.2. You got M. They're all M.2s, but I guess like you have something like this right here. This is an M.2 drive, but it goes on the PCIe or PCI Express slot. But you can clone these drives too if you had them in there. These are M.2s, but they're not the NVMe. What are they called? I think this is M.2. That's just killing me right now. I'm gonna find it out. Hold on. But you can clone off. It's connected to the motherboard. As long as it's on the motherboard, you can clone it. Oh, that name's getting to me. So I gotta find out what it is. Hold on. Here you go, Newegg. I'm just like, damn it, I should know that. M.2. Oh, it's mSATA. Duh. Okay, so I just got it. Okay, so if you had an mSATA drive, you can clone those too, as long as it's connected to the motherboard. Like that piece I just showed you, that was a mSATA. It's an mSATA connection. It's still M.2, but it's mSATA, and it'll connect to the PCI. But you can still clone those as well. That's basically what you would do. Like I said, I used to have a computer I would use for cloning. But just say you had a laptop, it's got an M.2, it's got an mSATA or M.2, or mSATA or NVMe, or the solid state drives, the mSATAs, which are the SATA connectors. They're not the NVMe or PCI Express. It's a M.2, but it's a mSATA, but it's they would call it SATA 3. They have a slower transfer, just like a regular solid state drive would. I'll show you one of those. That was kind of how they did it before. So what I'm talking about, just to show you, this right here, this is a mSATA. This is a pardon me. This is a solid state drive right here. It's Intel SSD 530 series solid state drive. So this works on the same, and there's a name for it too. Let's see if I can find it on here. I'm looking. It's a SSD, and it's 6 gigabytes transfer SATA. But what they also, and basically what's inside this is, if I open this up, you'll find a solid state drive that looks like a NVMe hard drive, the flat one, but it's connected through SATA through SATA 3, or 6 gigabytes per second. That's the speed. So these are old. This is what used to be like the shit back in the day, or maybe like 5 years ago. It used to be the shit. They were super fast. Because they were using SATA 3 connection, or 6 gigabytes per second as opposed to 3 gigabytes per second. Faster transfer using the M.2. And then they came out with the MSATAs, which are pretty much the same thing, but they're smaller. And then they came out with the PCIe Express, or PCI Express, using the NVMe technology, which is much faster transfer, similar to the U.2 transfers that they have now, which is U.2 is actually an old transfer system, but it used faster transfers using the SCSI, which was used on servers and stuff like that. They just kind of put it into a U.2 drive, so you can transfer through the motherboard at PCI Express speeds or whatever. But I do have to say, just from experience, using the oh, pardon my little thing here. Let me get back and talk to you guys. From my experience, using the Intel Optane drives, not the ones for the memory, but the Intel Optane solid state drives that connect to the U.2 or the PCI Express, or the M.2 that connect through the NVMe format or whatever, or platform, whatever you want to call it. Those things are super fast. It's like those drives are like learning drives, the Intel Optane drives, and my computer was a lot faster. I felt like it was faster than the regular NVMe's, but the write speeds were still the same. So I don't know. I'll have to get one just to test it on some tests, but I'm pretty sure there's some other guys that do reviews on that test that. I'm not that tech savvy into doing all that stuff like that. I'm just here just to give you a generalization and to give you my opinion, what I think and stuff like that. And I wish Acronis was sponsoring this video. That would be great, because we're using their software. But anyhow, so basically, once you run the cloning and it's done, it's finished, it says drive is cloned, blah, 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 you can go back, you start the computer, and you can check to verify that everything's the same. And more than likely, if you keep both drives in there, it will be running off the clone drive, so you can check that, stuff like that. But like I said, if you were doing like a M.2 or MSATA, basically you would have to transfer that, or you can still clone it on your hard drive. You would just have to have another hard drive slot to put inside the laptop. That's why laptops are a little bit different for cloning, because you would have to have an extra slot for a SATA hard drive, or another M.2 or MSATA. You would have to have another one there to clone it on there, because you can't clone onto a USB hard drive. Now I don't know, you maybe will do it with other software, but with Acronis you cannot. So basically what I would do in that situation, I would just have a motherboard that I can use with the MSATA. I would take it out and then clone it onto that. That's what I did with my wife's computer. She has an MSATA drive in there, and I was able took that drive out, put it into a motherboard I had with the MSATA, and cloned our source drive, which was a regular solid state drive. I took that, cloned it from there, put it back, cloned it on that computer, and then I put it back in the laptop. Worked no problem. But that's pretty much what what you got to do. And if you got a laptop, you can easily take a hard drive out and stick it into another computer, and clone the source hard drive to another hard drive. But that's how you do it. It's not too difficult. Pretty easy. It saves you a lot of time, saves you a lot of trouble. You don't have to upload, all your programs again. The most thing that you may have to activate your Windows again. Which if you have activated Windows, then you can just call and get that done, or get another activation key since you already purchased it. Or if you just have it anyway, you can always do that. But you probably have to activate that. Maybe you have to activate some of your programs. Because some of the changes, they kind of trigger things in the programs. If you change your hard drive or your motherboard, or the amount of memory, stuff like that, graphic card, you would just have to update those things again. And then if you have a new motherboard, of course you got to put in your all the drivers for that motherboard and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. Just simple stuff, but there's no reinstalling of anything, so it makes life a lot simpler. I've done it many times, so that's what I do. And when I build my new system, I will be doing the same thing. I'll be cloning that drive into another drive, hopefully into an Intel Optane drive, maybe like a 2 terabyte. Ooh, really expensive. Let's just see how expensive that mother effer is. Look, tell you, these things are really expensive, guys. Like, you have to just have money to do these computer builds or get sponsored, whatever you gotta do, but they make this stuff expensive. You may guys look at it. This stuff, okay, so we're on it, so let's see how much this thing is. Alright, so let's look at these hard drives real quick. Is it in here? I know, I took it out of here. I was going to get it. It's the Intel Optane SSD. Here they are here. So, Intel Optane right here, SSD 900p. This is the newest one. It's at U.2. This one actually comes with a U.2 to input to connector PCIe. So, if you don't have the U.2 connector on your motherboard, you can use the PCI Express to connect it, which you would use basically for this thing right here, for the NVMe. But look at the price. It's $269 for 280, $549 for 480. I know they got some other ones here. Here you go. 1.5 terabyte, $2,000, $2,319 for 1.5 terabyte. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. If I had the money, man. 960 for $1,426. Jeez. Crazy. Fucking crazy, man. Pardon my French, but that's crazy expensive. Anyway, but these are the best drives anyway, so I don't think they make a 1 terabyte in the 900, or do they? They got a 905 series, they don't make the 1 terabyte. I thought they made the 1 terabyte in the 900 series. But this is, I had one of these. I had a 280, and it was awesome. I mean, I would be okay with just getting 480, and then I would just take everything and transfer it over. Because, I mean, if I look at my space now, let me see how much I'm using. So right now, I'm using 547 gigabytes free of my 1 terabyte. So, yeah, I'm pushing it. I'm gonna have to get a 1 terabyte. Jeez. Anyway, guys, that's just food for thought. Anyway, but that's how you would clone a drive. I'm just giving you the basics of how you would clone a drive. So it's not. How am I going that way? Wrong way, guys. But it's not too difficult to do. Pretty easy. Like I said, just make sure you got the right software for what you're. Yeah. So just make sure you got the right software for what operating system you're recording. You're cloning. So like I said, PlayStation 4s, Xboxes is possible. You just gotta figure out what software works for you. But that's it. Pretty easy, not so hard. So go clone away. You know what I mean? All right. Well, you guys take care. We'll have another video next Thursday. I don't know what we're talking about, but we'll talk about something because I'm here to talk and give you guys some good information that you can use. All right. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you next time. All right. Peace.